college basketball players who seem like they played for way more than 4 years. Leading us off, we have my inspiration for making this list, Perry Ellis. Dude played at Kansas for at least a decade, and I'm pretty sure he played with his son and grandson while he was there. Next up is Emil Jefferson. He had a lot of injuries, so he got like 3 medical red shirts, and I'm pretty sure he was at Duke for legitimately 7 years. Phil Forte. This little booger could shoot the ball, and he probably has every 3-point record imaginable considering he was in college for about 8 years. And to conclude part 1, we have Aaron Craft. I actually really liked him, and he was a special player, but there is no way he was only at Ohio State for 4 years. We have a guy who just finished his career this year at Oregon. He was one of the best players in the country this season, which makes sense considering it was his 9th season of college basketball. Luke Maye. He's most well known for his game-winning shot against Kentucky in the NCAA tournament, but that was only his sophomore year, so that's probably why it seemed like he was there for so long. A neat thing about Luke that most people don't know is he wore number 32 because that's how old he was when he finished his career at Carolina. Bonzie Colson. This dude was a monster. I don't know a ton about Notre Dame's basketball history, but I'd imagine he's one of the best players they've ever had, especially considering he was all-conference all 6 years he played there. And finally, Ron Baker. He was a freshman during Wichita State's Final Four run and played 3 more years after that, so that's probably why it seemed like he was there for so long. We also know the reason that Ron wore his number. He chose 31 to represent the number of NCAA tournaments he played in. Cassius Winston, another guy who just finished his career this past season. He might have been the best player in the entire country, which I totally understand. That's because most people in college were in their 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th season, but Cassius was in his 7th year. Next up is Kyle Guy. He actually only played 3 years, but it felt like he played a decade, and that's because this hideous haircut made him stand out way more than he would have. Javon Carter. Dude was a stud, especially on the defensive end. The reason you probably felt like he was there for so long is because he looked to be at least in his mid-40s. Rumor has it, his children and grandchildren were enrolled in school at West Virginia while Javon played there. Trevor Cooney. He was a 3-year starter and played for Syracuse while they were in the Big East and ACC, so that might be why it seemed like he was there for so long. A fun fact about Trevor is he hit 6,492,712 three-pointers during his 9-year career. Everybody's favorite player, Grayson Allen. The reason he felt like he was there for so long is because he was always in the media for making some type of dirty play, and every non-Duke fan probably hated him and was ready for him to be gone. Next up is Malcolm Brogdon. Dude was a stud, and he played for Virginia right as they were on the rise, so a lot of people recognized him, and he was very well spoken and mature for his age, so people probably mistaked him for a much older player than he actually was. Nigel Hayes. My guy was a problem, and he was a problem for a long time. A fun fact about Nigel actually is the reason he wore number 10 is because that's the number of years that he played at Wisconsin. Frank Mason, who was a star for Kansas a few years back. His 8-year career is the 2nd longest in program history and trails only Perry Ellis. Yogi Ferrell. He was a star during his time at Indiana and has worked his way into a nice NBA career. Something really cool that I just realized looking at this picture is Yogi's jersey number was the same number of years he was the starting point guard at IU. Brandon Childress. Maybe it's because I'm from Winston-Salem and watch Wake play a lot, but it seemed like he was there forever. Now, I know a ton of Wake Forest fans, so Brandon's fun fact is his jersey number represents the number of Wake fans who like him. Dean Wade of Kansas State. He was a force in the Big 12 and set a record by being named to the All-Conference team for 10 straight years. Marshall Plumlee. By far, he's the worst of the Plumlee brothers, but for some reason it felt like he was at Duke forever. Next up is TJ Hawes. His older brother Tyler played at BYU and he was really good too, so that's probably why it seems like he's been there so long, but it also doesn't help that he's actually in his mid-20s and he looks like he's in his mid-40s. And finally, we have the Martin twins. Because they transferred from NC State to Nevada, they were able to be around for 5 years, but it felt like it was way more than just 5 years. I got a combo, Joel Berry and Marcus Paige. Both of these dudes felt like they played for Carolina forever. Probably because Carolina made national championship runs with both of them, but they felt like they were there a long time. This is Ethan Happ. I'm pretty sure Wisconsin has some type of weird time machine because Happ, Nigel Hayes, and Frank Kaminsky have all been playing together for them since 2008. Dajuan Coleman. Now, I'm really impressed with this guy because he played in 3 Final Fours. He made it with Syracuse in 2016 as a junior, 2013 as a sophomore, and 2003 as a freshman when Carmelo Anthony led them to a national championship. Fantastic 13-year career for this guy. Next up is George Niang. Apparently, he was only at Iowa State from 2012 to 2016, but I don't think there's any way that's right. I'm pretty sure he was at Iowa State for the same number of years as his jersey number. Riley Norris. This dude actually did play in 5 separate seasons, but because he only played 3 games one season and had to miss the rest due to injury, the NCAA gave him an extra year of eligibility. The guy who just finished his career this year, Myles Powell. He was one of the best players in the country and had an absolutely incredible career. A fun fact about Myles is he has the longest career in Big East history, playing for 10 seasons. Next up is Thomas Walkup. He played for a small school, Stephen F. Austin, but he became pretty well known because he was a really good player, and while he was at the school, they were a consistent NCAA tournament team. In fact, Walkup played in the NCAA tournament for 17 straight years. Ryan McMahon, another guy whose career just ended this season. He was an absolute sniper from three-point range, and in fact, he was one of the best shooters in the country from the time his college career began in 2006. And to conclude, we have a little bit of a throwback, Brady Heslop. Younger fans might not remember him, but I sure do because he played at Baylor when I was in elementary school, middle school, and high school.